grease nipples. So this is the front cross member of a comma. This is Tilly's one. It's all been refurbished and made to look pretty. And there are 16 grease nipples on this, just the front cross member alone. There's more throughout on the comma, but this is so just to cover that where they are. That's the grease nipple there. And what it is, this is the upper fulcrum, which, just to show you as a fulcrum, the reason it's called one of them is as this bar pivots, you can see the grease nipples turning with it. And this is actually threaded all the way through, so that if you pump grease in there, there's a little hole in there, and that packs the threaded part out with grease. So that's the upper fulcrum. You've got exactly the same as that on the bottom here. This is a lower fulcrum. So there's two on there, there's two on there. This is the kingpin that runs through there. That's the kingpin down there. And these are called pivot points, pivot bolts, sorry. And you can see there's a grease nipple there. This is threaded right the way through. So this part is threaded. You've got a large thick thread here and a thin thread that end. And so when you pump grease in there, comes out the middle and squidges out to the ends of it. You've got exactly the same. These can actually be swapped top and bottom, so these two pivot points are identical, and you can see there's two grease nipples there for the kingpin itself. This kingpin is far too loose. It shouldn't be as loose as that, and you can actually see like the bush is all moving loose and separate. That's because it should be packed tight with grease. So you've got two there, two on the lower fulcrum. Oh, by the way, ignore this. This is Tilly's towing eye. I've got a bit carried away with that. Yeah, two on the lower fulcrum, two on the upper fulcrum, two on your two pivot bolts, and then two for your kingpin. And then just to clarify as well, just to go through. So imagine that this is a bolt, this is one of the pivot points or one of the fulcrums. So you've got the weight of your comma actually sitting on this bolt. So as you're driving along, it's just pivoting like that, just as you're going up and down bumps and everything else. It's metal on metal. So what it's going to do is, it's just going to corrode and wear away. And once it starts corroding, it's going to quickly start getting loose and baggy and everything else. So the idea really is to keep it packed out with grease, so it protects the thread and prevents corrosion, and it prevents it locking. So really what we would do is we'd get a grease nipple, drill hole in there, fix that in there, then once a year pump grease in till it comes out either side of the thread, and that'll keep it all neat. So that's why we've got them on our campers. Now you can get grease guns like this monstrous great big thing here, but to be honest, that's more for tractors and lorries and HGVs, because also if you're doing sort of pistons and stuff, you'll probably use half of one of them in one go. These are a little one, DIY cheapie from eBay, and all you do is you just put some grease in one end of it, and then as you press the plunger, it's got a spring, and you can see it's got a little, I don't know if you can see, but it's got a little hole, and as you press the plunger it just squirts out grease. So it's really simple. On the bleed nipple itself is like a little bearing that's on a spring, so you just have to press gently, but you see I'm not pressing that hard, and then as I plunge it, you'll see the grease is actually coming out the grease nipple itself, going into the thing. So you do that once a year and you'll keep your comma nice and sweet.